I'm Tash. Welcome to Tash's Library. Today's video is going to be my February TBR, and once again I'm going to be using my new TBR game board. I'm going to continue with 8 rolls. 8 books might be a bit ambitious for February because I'll be back at work and it's a shorter month. But you know what? I like challenges and I'll give it a go. Worst case scenario, I don't get to one of the books. That's fine. I can live with that. Let's begin. So here's my board. This debuted for my last TBR game. Last game I ended up on gold, and so therefore I'm going to put my Eeyore token on gold. That's where I'm going to start. This time I'm actually going to use 2 dice just because it makes it a little bit more interesting going around the board. And as usual, whichever color I land on, I have to then pick a corresponding prompt card. These are all random and have all been shuffled. If I land on a bookworm space, then I go to my bookworm game and use that for a prompt. The first roll, I have a 7. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a blue prompt, and that is features death. Right, so for features death, I am going to pick a book that has almost made it onto my TBR so many times, and once did make it on and then got switched later in the game. So this is City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. The reason I've picked this one is because it does deal with a murder mystery, and therefore somebody does get killed very early on in the book. I think this fits it. So this is the first book in a trilogy, the Divine Cities trilogy, and it's sort of an urban fantasy from what I can tell. And the synopsis says, you've got to be careful when you're chasing a murderer through Bulakov, for the world is not as it should be in that city. When the gods were destroyed and all worship of them banned by the polis, reality folded. Now stairs lead to nowhere, alleyways have become portals to the past, and criminals disappear into thin air. The murder of Dr. Ephraim Pangui, the polis diplomat researching the continent's past, begins something. Now whispers of an uprising are fluttering out from invisible corners, and only one woman is willing to pursue the truth, but it is likely to cost her everything. This sounds really cool. I do love urban fantasy. I believe the world building on this is sensational, and it's just a little bit of a departure from some of the epic fantasies that I read in January. I feel like I need a bit of a break from those, so I'm really just going to try and pick different types of books for February. Very excited about this one. Second prompt is 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is gold. And that is a school setting. I like myself a school setting. I'm excited for this one. Let's see what I have. And for school setting, I'm going to start yet another series, and I've been meaning to read this one as well for quite some time, and that is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. So this is also a trilogy, and yeah, I don't know much about it. The synopsis says that it's enter a world of magic unlike any you have ever encountered. There are no teachers, no holidays, friendships are purely strategic, and the odds of survival are never equal. Once you're inside, there are only 2 ways out. You graduate or you die. So that sounds pretty extreme. Elle Higgins is uniquely prepared for the school's many dangers. She may be without allies, but she possesses a dark power strong enough to level mountains and wipe out untold millions. Never mind easily destroy the countless monsters that prowl the school. Except she might accidentally kill all the other students too. Sounds good. I love school settings. I'm kind of expecting this to be like a dark Harry Potter, and I really hope so because I feel like that. I'm in the mood for that. And roll number 3 is 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a red prompt, and I get spring. So that would be any book that reminds me of spring, has spring in the title, or has spring colors on the cover. For spring, I'm going to pick another book on my Kindle. This book has been chosen as the book that I need to read for my book club, so I'm very glad to get this on here. I've picked Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. Now, I know this has nothing to do with spring, but the colors on the cover kind of look spring-like. So I'm going to make that work because I need to read this book. And I've heard amazing things about this one. My mum's read it. She really liked it. Some of the people in my book club have already read it and they loved it. And so I'm going to really be reading this one very early in February. This follows chemist Elizabeth Zott, who is not your average woman. In fact, she'd be the first to point out that there's no such thing. But it's the early 1960s and her all-male team at Hastings Research Institute take a very unscientific view of equality. Except for one, Kelvin Evans, the lonely, brilliant, Nobel Prize nominated grudge holder who falls in love with, of all things, her mind. True chemistry results. Like science, life is unpredictable, which is why a few years later, Elizabeth Zott finds herself not only a single mother, but the reluctant star of America's most beloved cooking show, Supper at 6. Elizabeth's unusual approach to cooking, combine 1 tablespoon acetic acid with a pinch of sodium chloride, proves revolutionary. But as her following grows, not everyone is happy, because as it turns out, Elizabeth Zott isn't just teaching women to cook, she's daring them to change the status quo. This sounds amazing. It's a debut novel. It's got feminism, it's got science. How can I go wrong? Fourth roll is a 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Another blue prompt, and that is a feel good. That sounds great. I think that's going to maybe counter my features depth prompt. So let's see what I have. And for feel good, I'm going to pick Matt Haig's The Humans. This is a fairly recent acquisition and it just sounds really cute. And look, it's got a dog on the cover. I mean, that's going to make me feel good anyway, unless something happens to the dog. I hope not. I don't think so. It doesn't sound like it because it's described as quite a humorous, fun book. And the synopsis says, after an incident one wet Friday night where he is found walking naked through the streets of Cambridge, Professor Andrew Martin is not feeling quite himself. Food sickens him, clothes confound him, even his loving wife and teenage son are repulsive to him. He feels lost amongst an alien species and hates everyone on the planet. Everyone, that is, except Newton, and he's a dog. Now, Newton is an awesome name for a dog. I kind of wish I had a dog to name now. But anyway, so this sounds really cool. I did love Matt Haig's The Midnight Library, even though I think that was probably a bit darker. This sounds cool. I'm looking forward to giving him another go, and like, sounds adorable. Sounds adorable, and from what I hear, it is quite funny. And roll number 5 is a 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is a silver prompt, and we have greater than 500 pages. Excellent. I like myself a big book. And for more than 500 pages, I'm going to start yet another trilogy. This is one I've been wanting to read for quite some time, and it is Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I'm going to be reading this one on Kindle, hence not having a physical book to show you, but I will include a picture. So I heard this is great. I love science fiction. It's first contact, I believe, with an alien species. I love that stuff. It's some of my favorite reading. And so I'm super looking forward to that. The synopsis is an epic story of humanity's battle for survival on a terraformed planet. Who will inherit this new Earth? So the last remnants of the human race left a dying Earth, desperate to find a new home amongst the stars. Following in the footsteps of their ancestors, they discover the greatest treasure of the past age, a world terraformed and prepared for human life. But all is not right in this new Eden. In the long years since the planet was abandoned, the work of its architects has borne disastrous fruit. The planet is not waiting for them pristine and unoccupied. New masters have turned it from a refuge into mankind's worst nightmare. Now the two civilizations are on a collision course, both testing the boundaries of what they will do to survive. Sounds exciting. I needed a good sci-fi on here, and I'm thinking I'm going to really enjoy this one. And roll number 6 is a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another red prompt, and that is a Goodreads winner. So that's not necessarily for 2022. That can be a Goodreads winner from any year. So I'll have to look that one up. And for Goodreads winner, I've decided to go with the Maid by Nita Prose. So this was the winner of the crime thriller category in 2022. And I've heard it's quite charming and really cool. So I don't know, I've had it for ages. So it's about time I read this one, right? So this follows Molly the maid, who's all alone in the world, a nobody. She's used to being invisible in her job at the Regency Grand Hotel, plumping pillows and wiping away the grime, dust and secrets of the guests passing through. She's just a maid. Why should anyone take notice? But Molly is thrown into the spotlight when she discovers an infamous guest, Mr. Black, very dead in his bed. This isn't a mess that can be easily cleaned up. And as Molly becomes embroiled in the hunt for the truth, following the clues, whispering in the hallways, she discovers a power she never knew was there. She's just a maid, but what can she see that others overlook? So I believe this is quite warm-hearted and a little bit different. I think it'll be a good addition to my February TBR. And roll number 7 is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A green prompt. And that is young adult. Ooh, okay. I don't have a lot of young adult on my TBR in general, so we'll have to see what I have to pick there. For young adult, I'm going to pick another series that I've been meaning to get onto. I've had this one for ages, and this is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. So this is a YA sci-fi by Sanderson. I haven't read any of his YA or middle grade. I haven't read any sci-fi by him, but I have loved what I have read so far. And this one is described as the world has been under attack for hundreds of years. An alien race called the Krell leads onslaught after onslaught from the sky in a never-ending campaign to destroy humankind. Humanity's only defense is to take to their ships and fight the enemy in the skies. Pilots have become the heroes of what's left of the human race, and Spencer has always dreamed of becoming one of them. But the chances of that happening were slim to none, at least until the Krell doubled their attacks. It's possible that humanity's desperation to survive will finally take her skyward. This, I believe, is quite action-packed, has really cool like dog fights, and I don't know. I mean, Brandon Sanderson's always fun to read. He's great at action, and yeah, I think this will be a really good choice. And the final roll is 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Woohoo! Bookworm Game. That's a fun one. So for the Bookworm prompt, I use my Bookworm dice game, although I don't actually use the dice. What I do is pull out the cards which all have prompts on them, and then use one of those to select a book. So I'm going to shuffle the cards up, and let's see what I have. This could be exciting. I really enjoy this game because the prompts are a little bit weirder, a little bit more difficult to match up. Ooh, I'm going to grab that one. All right, so I have words with 4 or less letters. So I guess that would be a title that's 4 letters or less. Typical for Canada. So that could be something like, I don't know, like mousse, snow, maple syrup, I don't know. Priceless things. So that could be diamonds or gold or anything like that. So they're pretty straightforward. I'm going to see which books I have that might match one of those prompts and decide which prompt I'm going to go with. And I got a Bookworm Game. So exciting. I always really enjoy trying to meet those prompts because it's a little bit more challenging and fun. For 4 less letters, I was kind of playing with a few. I did have Prey by Michael Crichton, Meru, which is a new sci-fi release in 2023, and The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. Then for typical for Canada, I was thinking maybe Bearhead, which is a continuation of Dogs of War, or potentially even Northern Lights by Pullman. And for priceless things, I was kind of going with silver. So I was thinking maybe Spinning Silver or Streams of Silver by R.A. Salvatore to continue the Legend of Drizzt series. However, I've decided that I need a light-hearted February. And so I'm going to go with The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. I have this on Kindle and it sounds pretty good and fun. It's described as a thrilling, hilarious, genre-busting novel about a supernatural MI5. That sounds pretty fun. The synopsis says, "The body you are wearing used to be mine. So begins the letter my Fanwy Thomas is holding when she awakes in a London park surrounded by bodies all wearing latex gloves. With no recollection of who she is, my Fanwy must follow the instructions her former self left behind to discover her identity and track down the agents who want to destroy her. She soon learns that she is a Rook, a high-ranking member of a secret organization called the Cheki that battles the many supernatural forces at work in Britain. She also discovers that she possesses a rare and deadly supernatural ability of her own." So I think that's going to be quite fun. I'm looking forward to that one. And that's it. That is my TBR for February. So I've got my 5 physical books and 3 on Kindle. And I think it's a really good mix. I've got a little bit of urban fantasy, some sci-fi, some YA, some feel-good, some contemporary fiction, some mystery. I think it's just going to be quite nice to have a little bit of a break. I feel like I do need a lighter month. And let me show you this. How unusual is this, that without any actual thinking about the covers, I mean, look at the colors. Look at the colors. They actually all match. It's like my blue month. Yeah, it's my blue month. So that's kind of exciting. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed what you watched. And if you did, please subscribe. And until I see you next time, take care.